All right, here we go. All right, guys, welcome back to the 24 Down podcast. I'm here today for episode 27 and joined by our special guest. Let me just say, I'm pretty excited about this episode, and I know a lot of people are wanting to hear from perspectives from people that didn't necessarily live on the floor. Um, and this is going to be one of those people. But not only that, a lot of people want to hear perspective from the girls, and so this checks that box too. So at this time, I'd like to welcome in our guest, Erin. Erin, how's it going?
Hey guys, it's good. We're
Good,
good.
good.
hmm How are you?
I, I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
I feel like
Yeah.
I'm talking to everybody, so
Well, I mean, you are.
that's
You're not
true.
right.
That's
Um,
true.
I think a lot of people are going to get a lot out of this episode. I know, like, you talked about. Uh, I think I don't know if it was in the message between me and you, or if it was in the group, but you were talking about how, your time there, you felt like it was shorter, and you weren't like as um, you weren't around the whole time and stuff, so you weren't sure like how you could connect or whatever. But and that's me paraphrasing. That wasn't your wording, but um, it is my like honest opinion, and I think everybody would agree that like you were and are just as much a part of 24 Down as anybody else, regardless of the time or anything like that. And I think a lot of people are gonna be really excited to hear this episode. So,
Good. I'm excited.
well, let's start off real quick. The This is kind of the new thing I've been doing. What year did you come to Valley Forge?
I was there the fall of 2005,
Okay.
and then I left 2.5 years later in 2007. It was December. Yeah.
Okay. So I guess one of the things that threw me off is because I thought that you were there before I was there. I shared today on the Facebook group chat that we've got that I found my. Do you remember the Stalker books?
Oh my
Actually,
God.
I'll show you. Right, I've got it right here. It's called Forge. Well, you can't see because of my green screen. It's
Oh my
called.
God.
It was called Forge Friends, and it was like this little paper book, and it had everybody's pictures in it. We called it the Stalker book because it had all the information. So like, it has like here's Erin, right? So it's got Erin. It's got your Valley Forge email. It's got your room phone number, which I don't even remember us having room phones, but
We did.
I don't think 24 Down did, but I think some of the other.
Well, I started in Bongiorno. I was one of those petty girls. No, I'm kidding, but I was in Bongiorno the first semester, and then I moved to that where most of the I
Shelton.
don't even remember what number I was in.
Was it Shelton though?
I think it was that front one.
Well, here's okay. So let me continue. So then it
Okay,
says Shelton Hall, which would be Building 5, I think.
there you go.
Um, and then it has like your major, what like where you're
Mhm.
from and all this kind of stuff. So like we called it the Stalker book because it was all this information. Like if you're coming in as a new student, or if you've been there for a while and new students are coming in, I mean, like you could right off the bat just learn all this information about them. Like it was really weird, but they have you listed in here as a freshman, and that threw me off because I was like, like you were definitely a sophomore at the time when I came in as a freshman,
Yeah,
which
you
is
because you came a year later.
yeah, I came '06, like the fall of '06. So that's what threw me off. They just must have had a typo, but
Yeah,
um, okay, so you came in '06 and you or '05 and you were there 2.5 years.
yeah,
Um, and you went from Bongiorno to Shelton. Did you stay there in Shelton then?
yeah.
After, yeah,
I I was roommates with some random girl, and then Brittany. Remember Brittany?
yeah, yeah.
Well, there's a lot of Brittany's, but I can't think of her last name now. And then I moved. I guess it was Shelton. And it was nice because then I didn't have to share a room until I left, and it was just so much nicer because three roommates and they're all different. And you're like, I was like seven. I was 17 when I came.
That's
I didn't
crazy.
turn 18 till November. I was like, you know,
I mean, and when you think about that, like a lot of, I mean, I was a little bit different because I came later on. I Out of high school, I went to community school here for I think 2 years, and then I stopped going. I think I was like 22 22, maybe 22, 23 when I went. So like I was a little bit older for a quote unquote freshman. Um, but yeah, I mean, when you think about that, like 17, 18 years old, when you're going and starting this college experience, like that's a very young age to like,
Yeah.
to experience those things. So, well, why don't we, I'm going to let you kind of take over here and give everybody just kind of a recap of your life post Valley Forge, what's gone on since then. You can
Yeah.
go as long as you want and just kind of catch us all up.
All right. Well, let's see. I left in '07 and I was dating Ryan at the time. And so he actually moved to Buffalo with me and he stayed with one of my friends. And I don't know, I think we broke up like a year later. He moved back to his hometown eventually, but we don't have to get into details. Um, but let's see. I met Jared. So, okay, no, sorry, let me back up. Personality, okay. I finished my degree at Buff State in Buffalo with special education. And so I finished that in 2010. And so then I met Jared in between. He used to travel to Buffalo with what he did. And so I met him that way. And this was like after I don't know, it was like a couple of years after Valley Forge. And so we dated for a while. We were long distance and then we got engaged, got married. And actually in February, we're coming up on 10 years, which is crazy. But let me think. What did we do? We got married. We moved to Scranton, Pennsylvania, where the office is. And we started a church there. And we were there for like 4 years and it's still going. It's we're really close with the pastors now. They're like really our best friends. And then we moved to back to Buffalo for a little while. And so I did some children's stuff at a church, and then I worked with special education at this center. We were there for a couple years, and then we moved here to Rochester. Jared is pastoring at a church right now. We've been here, let me think, 3 years. But in between all that, I have my son Landon, who's 4, and Quinn, who's going to be 3 soon in January. And then we have this little, this little one is due in 3 months. So I'm officially in my 3rd trimester. That's pretty short, but I feel like all in the mix was, moving and having kids. We got to be by a family for a little while, which was awesome. But after college, sorry, let me back up now. After college, I think when I was talking to Tom, I love him. We hung out still, like after when he'd come, and I don't remember when he left, but we would hang out. And that's when I was joking about the scary movies and stuff. Cause I'd make my cousin come with me and we'd go to his house and watch these. And I can't watch scary movies anymore, but yeah, so I remember seeing him after for just a little bit. So yeah, it's been 10 years. And so I guess it's been more than 10 years. It's been like 13 years, right?
Yeah. Yeah. If
I
you,
left.
yeah. So you left in '07 or '08, right?
Yeah, '07. I don't know any other details. Funny story though is, do you remember Bethany Steigerwald?
Yes.
So we're still really close. It's Bethany Marshall now.
Okay.
She lives in Pennsylvania, but I told her I was going to be on the podcast. I was like, oh my gosh, you have to listen to it. It's probably going to be so ridiculous. I'm going to say so many random things. I'm like, if I say anything negative about Valley Forge, don't listen. Cause she did really good there, so.
Right. Well, a shout out to Bethany then, and
Yeah.
if she ever wants to, I'm sure she's listening now because you told her. So
Yeah.
if she ever wants to come on, and the invitation is on the table.
Yeah.
If you don't want to hear anything negative from Valley Forge, make sure to not listen to my episode. I will say that. But all right, so you got 2 kids and you got your 3rd on the way. What's life like being a mom for you?
Um, it's really good. I mean, it's awesome seeing your kids have different personalities, and sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, they're doing things like I do, or they look exactly like you. But when we were in Buffalo, I had Landon, and so I was working full time, but he was able to come with me. So it was just it kind of went by really fast because then we had Quinn right after. They're 17 months apart, and they're like best friends now. And so I mean they're 3 and or she'll be 3 and he's 4, and they just are inseparable. And I think that's the best thing, even with this year with COVID and everything, is that I feel like they are young enough, they're not in school, and they were able to just play and kind of be all about them each other, and not, they never even said like they miss a ton of people. And they see some people now, but it's, you know, New York is a little bit more crazier.
Sure. Sure.
But yeah, it's really good. I think that I'm, balancing, and I'm sure we'll get into the fitness stuff at some point. So um, that's been really helpful with having kids, and they love to watch me work out or work out with me. So they're a lot of fun. I mean, I'm sure every parent's like, oh, there's moments and stuff, but it's been really great.
So I'm gonna, ask I guess a personal question here.
Yeah.
Um, so did you guys like when you guys got married and I'm sure you guys talked about like building a family and everything like that. Did you um do you guys have a goal of how many kids you want? Is it like something that just kind of go with the flow, like go as we go? Like, are you guys set with 3? Do you want more than
Yeah,
3?
yeah, yeah. You can ask me anything.
Yeah.
I'm not remember. I'm not I'm not an offended person. So it was Colleen. Shout out. Anytime we got in trouble, Colleen was there to help. No, we're done. We're gonna be done after this one.
Okay.
But when we got married, we bought our house, but it was like this really small 1-bedroom apartment, and we were just so busy doing stuff. I was working 10-hour days, and so we just knew that we didn't want to right away. And so I think it was like 5 years late, about 5 years, when we were settled in Buffalo, was when we started being like, all right, let's start a family. And then after Landon, he was a great sleeper. We were just like in the flow of it. We're like, let's have another one. And then it like happened really fast. So I was like, oh man. But it was great. And then so it's Quinn. And so she's hilarious. And we were gonna like try to wait a little bit longer because I had some competitions coming up. And they all got just like canceled or backed up. And so it's not like it wasn't like we were going around competitions, but I did have 2 that were back to back in this last August and then upcoming February. And so we're like, well, listen, I'm not competing. We were going to just wait one more year to try. And so we just decided to. And I was like, yeah, did you know what people call babies that are born during COVID?
No.
Coronials. Oh, that's funny.
That is funny. I mean, and
I
there's
don't know if they're actually gonna be called that, but
right. But like,
Coronials.
I mean, think about that. Like, when they get into their adult life, like what a story that they're gonna have, that like that they were born in this time that like the world, well, not the, I shouldn't say the world has never seen. There's been pandemics and things like that, but like in anybody else's lifetime that's still around,
Yeah.
like that's a very unique thing that they're gonna have. You talk about
Yeah.
um, moments in time that like you just remember. Like I don't, I don't, I don't remember Pearl Harbor or things like that, but people that
Right.
were around were like. But for me, like I remember 9/11 and now like coronavirus. That's going to be something that like I remember, and to be born within that time, like that is something that it's going to be really interesting to for them growing up, say that like yeah, like I was born during this, like
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
Um,
no,
and
go ahead.
no, and I do feel like as much as I'm like the kids aren't affected by it, I mean, my parents, they like run a food pantry, they do all these things, so we don't get to see them as often. And they did have my mom actually did end up getting COVID, and she recovered fast. Like she, and my dad never got it, but they were just being extra cautious. And then my brother just had a baby, so we don't see them as much. But when it was like summertime here last weekend, and so now it's like 40 out, but it was so nice. So my parents came, and Landon would just like hug my dad. And you can tell that he doesn't see them as much as they used to. They live in Buffalo and they're only an hour away.
Okay.
And so you can tell it affects him that way, where he's not seeing people consistently, but he won't verbalize it. And he's still so young. So you can just tell when he sees people how much more excited he is to see his family that he doesn't see all the time.
All right.
So
Well, it's exciting, and definitely like I want to say congrats on you guys having your third, and I
thanks.
know the 24 Down family is excited for you guys as well.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see. Like I me personally, I don't know that I'm ever gonna have kids, but like I love seeing all my friends like it's crazy to think like back when we were all in college together. I don't think I could have pictured any of us with kids.
Oh my gosh.
And now like
Yes.
yeah, and now it's like, most of us have kids, and it's really cool to see. And I like that we are all reconnected and we're able to see each other as not only friends but like the family, like the families that you're creating with your family, and vice
Yeah.
versa. I think it's really cool. So
Um, quick question.
yes.
How did you guys, I know some of you guys live, do some of you live near each other? Did you guys always stay connected, or was it kind of like, I remember when you reached out and was like, hey, I want to do a 10-year anniversary. I even told Bethany about it. I was like, oh my gosh, we should go. That'd be so much fun. And she's like, oh my gosh. I was like, yeah, Jared won't want to come because it's going to be like all memories, all ridiculousness. He's going to feel so left out. And so, but anyways, I don't know where that, and then I don't know if you guys have always had a group chat.
So no, that's a great question, and I think this will be good for everybody to kind of hear a history of how the podcast came about, and kind of give some insight. So like I would say like there were pockets of friendships that stayed close throughout the years. Um, it wasn't as a whole group. We didn't necessarily stay like talking all the time. We'd see each other's stuff on Facebook and comment here and there, whatever. But I think there were pockets. Like I always talked to the English twins, for instance. Like I never stopped talking to them. So there's these small little pockets, and it was a few years back. Do you remember the Anderson brothers? They were two of the ones that burned our flag, Phil and Alex Anderson.
Okay.
So after all that, like, because Alex then came back to Valley Forge and he actually got put on 24 down.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
and so at first, like, I was like, I this kid is like, I was trying to give him the cold shoulder, and he was actually rooming, Murph, right? From
Ryan
Buffalo.
Murphy.
What's up?
Ryan Murphy.
No,
Oh my god. No, that was Miles. Oh my god, so many names.
no, no.
We're down.
No, he was buddies with Tom. I think they went to the same church. So it was
I think so.
it was the Kajawas. So
Yeah.
Brandon
Oh
and
yeah. Okay.
So it
Yeah.
was Brad Kajawa. He's Murph.
But I
Um,
came. I left before he came, I think.
okay. So Murph it was his first semester and he was rooming with Alex. And one day he pulled me aside and was like, "Hey, like Alex is actually a pretty cool guy." And I was like, "No, whatever." And he was like, "Well, listen, like he actually likes wrestling." And I was like, "All right, hold on, maybe I'll give this guy a chance, right?" So like that's kind of how we bridged our friendship there. And then like from that point on, like Alex and I were super close, even after college. So that's another person I always kept in touch with.
Yeah.
Well, they like me and Alex and Phil started doing this backyard wrestling thing called the IWA, where we go out to Boston because that's where Phil lives, and we put on this show. Well, occasionally we did it in Pennsylvania. So the one time we were doing it because Alex lived in Pennsylvania, so we're doing it in Pennsylvania. We're all drinking, and Francis and Jean came. Andrew Kindler was there that weekend, and so we're all just hanging out at Alex's house with a few 24 down people. And I was like, man, like it'd be so cool to like reconnect with everybody. So I made a Facebook group page and tried to invite everybody I could. And it kind of like for I don't know, maybe a month or two, it took off a little bit, but it kind of died out. But I think that kind of reconnected people a little bit. So that was maybe 2, 3 years ago. Well, so then like COVID happens, and there's at that point, like there's nothing else to do. Like everybody's stuck inside their house.
Right.
Well, Zoom is just taking over the world. And I was like, well, how cool would it be to do a Zoom call with everybody? So we set it up. We were doing this Zoom call, and the first one we did, I mean, there was probably 20 some people on it, and we're all just hanging out, whatever. And so that was kind of how the podcast was
Okay.
birthed. And so, like I said, there were different pockets of people, like Pete and Buddha, like they stayed close, the whole time. So there was like different pockets,
Makes
and
sense, Nick.
yeah. So like I think when you had those different pockets of people that stayed close, and then we threw us all together, it was like just it just it grew into what it is now. So
Yeah.
yeah. So that great
Cool.
question.
Yeah. Well, Tom, I I don't know if it's one of those things. It's like you follow people, but then sometimes you really like pay attention. And so somehow Tom and I got talking on Instagram, and he was like, "We're doing a reunion 24 thing." I couldn't go that night. It was like the last one or something.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
And then he told me about the 24th episode or whatever. And at first I'm like, well, I can only stay on with like the kids and stuff. And I end up staying on for like an hour. I'm like, you guys are fine in there. It's like I want to hear people's stories. Um, and so yeah, and so then I kind of caught up with Tom, just like random stuff on Instagram. And then I said, he was talking about the podcast stuff. He's like, you have to be on the podcast. And I was like, all right. I was like, I'll try to, and then I didn't hear from you for a little bit. And then I didn't even think about it. And then you messaged me. I was like, oh my gosh, yes. And then I told Tom, and he was all excited.
Yeah. Well,
So
so Tom's another one that like I always stayed close with. I mean, I wouldn't say that we talked like every day or anything like that, but I always
yeah,
stayed close with. Like I went to his wedding. He came to mine last year. Like we've always, stayed close, and that's one of the like when I think of 24 Down and like how special it is, like the friendships. It doesn't matter if you haven't talked to somebody in 6 months, 5 years, whatever it is. Like we spent a very important few years of our lives
yeah,
together, just surrounded by each other, spending all our time together. Like, and that's why like we really are a family. So I think it was really easy for everybody to reconnect, and everybody now it is what it is. And
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
so
That's true.
um so we'll get into some questions right now.
Some
And
of them.
we got quite a few questions for you here, and some are similar, so I'll try and sum them up and not repeat too many of the same type of questions. But
Okay.
um first set of questions here comes from Matt Bowden. And he says to say the words earth cakes.
Oh my god. Okay, so Matt, one of the real quick about Matt Bowden. Matt. Um, I remember calling my mom, and it was like the first semester, and my mom's like, every time you call me, you're like hanging out with these guys that are um playing guitar and singing. And I'm like, I'm just with my friend Matt right now. He's singing. I'm just like just like that first like freshman, like I'm like, hey, whatever. So, but Matt, okay, I'm gonna try to remember this. We were in science class together. And I just remember us just like going over the top with like science names and stuff. And so we'd be like earth cakes, and we would just like say all these weird things. Matt, it was like, but I'm I just don't remember everything, but I remember like randomly on Facebook, like years later, he would say something, and then I would just put like happy birthday earth cakes, and he would be like dying laughing. But it was just like this inside, well, I guess not inside joke anymore, but it was like this inside joke. We were just in this science class. I remember, I think it was, I forget what room it was in, but I remember it just going, it's like, you just go over the top with like stupid things. Like looking back, I'm like, oh, what were we? But yeah, Matt was a lot of fun in college. We were very I felt like sometimes we had very similar personalities, and we looked like we could be brother and sister, so
For sure. No, absolutely. Like,
we had blonde hair, blue eyes. I
yeah,
think one time we tried to tell someone we were twins,
I mean,
and
you guys could definitely, especially like during college when like people don't really like know, like you could definitely like pass for twins. Like, there's
yeah,
no reason to think that you weren't, because like you said, you guys do have similar like crazy fun personalities.
yeah,
Both tall, blonde hair, blue,
yeah.
so.
Oh my god, Matt.
Um, yeah. So his next question, he says he wants me to ask you if you know that he met your husband before you did.
Well, I did ask Jared. I mean, he didn't go in detail. He's just like, "Oh yeah, like I met him, whatever." But then like we were doing something, so I just said all these questions, and I'm like, "Did you meet Matt Bowen before, whatever?" And he's like, "Yeah, I think it's just like the circle that they were in, with like the AG church."
Sure.
So,
Nice.
um,
Well,
yeah.
his last question is, it's a two-parter. Is A, well, I guess I'll ask the first part. Do you still do gymnastics?
Oh yeah, that's good. I did do gymnastics for a little while just with like a friend who owned a gym. I'd go and flip around. And actually I was flipping around when I didn't know I was pregnant with Landon, which is fine. Like I mean the things I do now still, but it was just funny that I probably still could. I've done some random things, but no, I don't actually like do I do cartwheels with the kids now. And then I get
Well, it's more than most of us can do. So it's there you go. The second part to that question is he wants to know the name of your what was the name of your job that we would all go and hang out at? It was that gym in
yeah,
Phoenix.
it was aerial fit and fun gymnastics. And
Yes.
yeah, Carrie, I think Carrie worked there for she didn't I think she stayed for a little while after college and worked there. I loved working there. I did like birthday parties. It was so much. Did you ever come?
Yeah, I came and then like I don't know if you remember this or not, but um one of my kids that I had at the elementary school, her mom, what was her mom's name? The one that ran it.
Kelly?
Kelly. Yes.
Yeah.
So Kelly's daughter was like one of my kids at one of my elementary
I think
schools. So
it's
like
Brooke, maybe Brooke?
I can't remember now.
No, I don't know.
Um yeah, but so like I knew her through that, and then some of the other girls at the elementary schools would like take classes there and stuff like that. So like I had that connection there anyway. But yeah, like we would. I think I went there maybe 2, 3, 4 times with you guys, and it was always a blast. Like those foam pits were so much fun.
Well, what's crazy about that place is when I was working there, moms would go around and like I don't know if it was like a mom's group with their kids or they were just looking at the gym, but a lady like slipped from a mat to a trampoline and broke her leg, like literally. Sorry, it was just like whatever. Long story short, like a couple years later, I wasn't even at Valley Forge anymore. I get this call and like this letter because she was like suing the place. It was like this whole thing. And I was like, what? I'm like, what do you mean suing the place? Because I was a witness. Like I was there. I actually saw it happen.
Right.
But yeah, that was like one of the I loved that job. Like I wish I would have been able to bring that back to Buffalo with me because at the time, $9 an hour was really good. So and so I was like, and they just kept going, like, could you stay? Like, we'll pay you more. And I was like, oh my gosh, $9 is amazing. And so yeah, it was a lot of fun there. And I remember making a ridiculous video that it pops up every year of Matt watching me do this ridiculous beam routine. And I was just like, it's so stupid.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So the next set of questions here come from Wolfie, and his first question is a question that he's been asking everybody, and that's if you could if you could name any building at Valley Forge after yourself, aside from 24 Down, what building would it be?
Oh my God.
It's, it's it's a good question, but it's a tough question. But I mean, basically, because like they started, while we were there was a few buildings that had names, but a lot of the buildings 24, 23, 4. Well, they started naming all those buildings. So like,
uh,
so I think that's the genesis of that question is like, okay, if you could name any building at on campus, what would you name after yourself and why?
like it would just be like Erin Ready, like the building Erin.
Yeah, the you
Oh,
know,
man,
Erin cafeteria, or, study
oh,
hall, or what, like it could be anything.
that's a good question. I don't really know. Um, I mean, the only I don't the only thing I could think of is like that upper room that we used to watch the game. Like, remember we used to hang our feet off the little like workout. I went on that
In the
treadmill
gym.
so many times. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I would name the gym after me.
What about maybe the soccer field? Because I know like that had some
Yeah,
memories for
there
you.
you go. Oh my God, soccer. Half the time I was there, kept getting suspended. No, yeah, maybe some sort of sports thing, maybe soccer fields. That's funny. That's
Nice.
funny.
Um, so we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but I'll let you answer it. His next question is, what was it like going from 1 to 2 kids, and how prepared do you feel for number 3?
Yeah, I mean, so like 1 and 2 were like a blur because they were so like I found out at 8 months that I was, or 8 or 9 months with Landon, that I was pregnant with Quinn. And so it felt kind of like a blur. I moved halfway through my pregnancy with Quinn. So everything just moved so fast. But the kids did like Landon did great. He was only 1 when we moved. But I don't know. I mean, think of me in school. Like, I don't say that as in like I haven't grown, but you know what I mean? Like I think Andrew asked a question if I'm still like the crazy. Yeah, like that's how people see me. Like I'm sure people follow the Enneagram and stuff, right? Like I'm a
Right.
7, like I'm like the life of the party kind of thing. But yeah, so I feel like transitioning with kids, I just kind of put it on the thing. Like I just thought to myself, all right, I don't want to expect to have the same life before kids, but I also don't want to stop my life because I have kids. Hence the like competing still and doing all that stuff. Um, but the third one is just so different now with this this year because the baby's born in February and we're probably not going to go anywhere for the first 2 months. It's cold. We're in New York, and so it's going to be weird like having people come over and I don't know, wear masks and like you know what I mean? You just
Right.
don't. And so it's going to be a lot different, I think. So I'm excited about the summer, like spring, summer, just being able to be outside with 3. So I think the biggest thing I think is going to transition is how Quinn and Landon are so close in age. And then this one will be like 3 years later. So I wonder how their relationships will be like growing up, like,
Sure.
because we do want to be done. So it's like, will this one feel left out? Like, because they're like BFFs. They look like they're the same age.
Right.
Like Quinn's like 95% for her height. So she's tall. But I would say it's been really great. Obviously, every parent has challenges with anything, doing certain things and whatnot. But I feel like we've found like really good balance having kids and being able to still do the things we love without sacrificing like, sometimes the kids just come with us. It's not like, oh, we can't go because we have kids. So
Yeah.
hope that
Um,
answers the question.
no, it's good. His last one here, he says it's not really a question, so I guess it's more of a compliment. He says, you look like you could single-handedly win the Valley Forge Powder Puff Championship, possibly even the Patriot Bowl. So
I did laugh at that one. I was like, oh my gosh, I guess all my videos are of me like lifting heavy weights.
well,
Yes.
to go on top of that, the next question is from Matthias, and his question is, he wanted me to ask you why you want to be the strongest person alive.
Yeah, that was really funny. I saw that. Oh my gosh. I don't know. So I guess I'll start with this like get me getting into CrossFit. So it was probably about 6 years ago I like heard about CrossFit and it's been around since for about 10 years now. And I just heard about it, but where we lived and my job and stuff, it was just like not worth paying the money to do it. So I did do some like random competition and I loved it. And I've always been into fitness even throughout college. But then I started like lifting weights and doing all that. And so then when I moved here 3 years ago, after Quinn, about 6 months later, I joined CrossFit. And so I had the, like, weightlifting background and the athletic background, and I'm, like, really competitive. And so I started doing it, and I started, like, progressing, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so great, like, I love this." And, then I met a couple people from my gym who compete, and so I just started, like, doing competitive training. And so then actually this past February, I did a big competition in Miami, and we ended up getting 7th place out of like 100 or 200 teams of
Oh wow.
4. Yeah. And so then this upcoming year, we're like, all right, guys, we got to go elite this year. Cause it's like elite, advanced, and then like scaled. And so like we were the mid, like we were the advanced, but not like the elite. I don't know if whoever is listening to this is familiar with CrossFit, but like elite, whoever wins elite gets to go to like the CrossFit games. And the games is like, it's like the Olympics of CrossFit.
Okay.
Like people, I mean, I basically would have to have no life to go, like I can't, I know people say I've done it and whatever, but I just really like competing. And so we were going to try to go this year, but then COVID happened, and then they bumped it back. And then my one friend had a baby. And so it was just, but it's great. Like some of the people on my team, one is the coach at my gym. And I'm sure people like Matthias asking and stuff has seen pictures of all that. So I've loved it. And that's one thing that's been hard during COVID is that I do have my own gym in my garage, like with all the stuff. But now that I'm pregnant, I used to work out with people when I was pregnant. And so like just doing it by myself, I'm not as motivated while I'm pregnant to usually you get up and you go and you do the workout they tell you, you modify it, whatever. But I still work out. But it's just different not being around friends. So,
Well,
but yes,
Buddha's
I do want to be the strongest person. Yes, I will arm wrestle you.
well, Buddha's got the next set of questions, and this kind of goes along with that. He wants to know what your overall health goals are.
uh, Good question. Yeah, I want to compete again in Miami, and I would love to do the same team that I had, which I don't know how realistic that is. Um, but I really like competitions, like competitive training. And so for me, I've never had that like goal of like I need to get here physically or like weight wise or whatever. I just felt like it kind of came along with it. And I've always just loved working out and like being athletic. So the competitiveness about CrossFit, what I love is that you're always growing. Like you're like if you're doing the right things, like you're adding more weight to your bar, you're doing more pull-ups. And so you can tell that you've advanced. So yeah, I think my biggest goal would be to compete again. Um, and the fact that I competed like that after 2 kids, so I'm hoping that this third one in COVID didn't kill me. I'm just kidding. I feel good still. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't personally, like, I don't have any doubt, like, your determination and everything like that. You will be competing again.
yeah.
So his Buddha's next question here is he wants to know, it's a two-parter here, the weirdest and the smoothest guy on 24 down.
The weirdest and the smoothest,
Yeah, so A, who is the weirdest, and B, who's the smoothest.
like the coolest.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
And
The
and keep in
weirdest.
mind you're not going to offend anybody with your answers.
I know, but I'm thinking of the weirdest. Like I feel like there was so many 24 down people, and there was, like I said on the thing, like I feel like there was people that I never really connected with, which makes sense. I was one of the girls. It's not like we were on the floor with you putting icy hot on her.
For
You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
so we were with you guys like in and out every day, but not like at those times.
Right.
I'm like trying to think of some of the people. Okay. I wouldn't even say he's weird. I just never got him because I wasn't that close with him. But I think like maybe Phil.
Okay.
But I can't even say that he was weird. I just think that I never got to know him and he was quiet. So I used to think like, oh, I don't think he likes me. Like, Phil. I can't say he's weird though. So it was just like maybe it was weird that I never really talked with him, but I remember him being more quiet. And then obviously I'm sure people have said Samsung. He was crazy. He was crazy. uh, okay. Smoothest.
Yeah.
You really want to know? I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god, the smoothest, the coolest. You know who I used to think was the coolest of all time, all the time, was Matt Baldwin. Matt. Um, I don't know.
So you could make an argument for Matt to be the weirdest also at times,
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. This is like an open, honest 24 down. I mean, he knew I had a crush on him for a little while,
Sure. Sure.
But then I was like, we're like brother and sister. This is weird. I was like, and so coolest. I don't know.
I mean, you could go with Bowden. Like, if I'm answering that question for me, and what I guess what I thought you would have answered would be Tom.
Well,
just because Tom's just got that
and it's funny because I was like, I think it's just because I was so close with Tom. You know what I mean? I'm thinking of people that I was like distant from, like, oh, they're
Sure.
so cool. You know what I
Sure.
mean? And that's why I was like, I would say I just thought Matt was cool when I like had a little crush on him. But what was I gonna say? Tom. I do miss Tom. But yeah, I don't know. There's like I would think of people that I wasn't that close with that just kind of walked in but yeah, I would say Tom was one of more of the level-headed. Well, level-headed, like I just always felt like I was like really myself for like around some of you guys, So
Yeah, for sure.
I'm trying to think. There is one other person I can't think of their name. Anyways, if it comes back to me very sporadic, I'll just shout out the name.
That works. That works.
Uh,
So Buddha's next question is he wants to know the funniest 24 down memory that you have.
the funnest. I mean, one of them that Colleen brings up is like the powder puff thing. And I think that was because it was geared towards the girls. Like I remember Colleen talking about that. Like it always looked like we were like the cheer squad for 24 down. And so then when we did powder puff, it was like, oh, our whole group is here. Like this is crazy.
I think for me, when I think back, and I said this before a little bit, that event to me solidified like you girls were always a part of the family, but that solidified the fact that these girls are just as important to us as the guys that live on the floor. Because like you said, I mean, some of the guys coached, the rest of us were out there the whole time. None of us were involved, but it meant just as much to us as the Patriot Bowl. It meant just as much to us as the dodgeball tournaments and everything like that, because we realized you guys are family also, and
Yeah.
you guys were always there hanging out with us, and so that was a way that we wanted to then come support you guys. And to me, that's what really solidified that bond of the girls group and the guys group, really becoming one unit.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was awesome when we won. It was cool. It was really cool. That was one of them. I mean, we did like softball and we did all the things. I would say that was like one big one. And then a bunch of us, we used to go to like a church together, a Korean church.
Yeah. That was Pastor Jacob in
Yeah.
Conshohocken, I believe.
Yeah. I remember doing that stuff, going to his house at one time. Remember the bounce house, like the
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that. And I mean, obviously, and this has been talked about so many times, so we don't have to go over it again. But like when most of us got suspended, like that big thing, that was.
So after the questions, I do want to get into that story
Okay.
because I think I don't remember if we really brought it up that much on Tom's episode. I can't remember, or I know it's been talked about a little bit, but I really want to get into that a little more in detail, and like
Okay.
having you on is a perfect person to get more into detail with that, because you and I were both involved, like heavily involved in that. So we will get into that after the questions.
Okay.
Um, all right,
Tom,
so
you're the coolest, Tom.
so his next question is, he wants to know your favorite chapel.
Who's asking again? Buddha?
Buddha. Yeah.
Okay. My favorite chapel?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Chapel.
I
Sorry.
mean, you could give my answer, which would be I don't remember.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I don't remember at all. I
Like
just remember having to go and like scan my card.
yeah, I mean, there were some, like they always did the puppet chapel, which was fun.
Puppet?
Yeah, you don't remember, they would do once a year, they would do a puppet chapel,
Maybe.
because
I don't remember that.
I think it was for the children's ministry. Like, well, there was a
Oh,
class,
yeah.
obviously a children's ministry class,
Yeah.
and they all had to make puppets. So once a year they would do a puppet chapel, but they always had those special chapels. Like they would have I really can't remember many off the top of my head, but there would be like some sort of music chapel or whatever.
Yes.
Uh,
I remember they did like a speaking one, like people spoke for like 5 minutes. I
yeah,
remember like the Christmas one. So, well, bringing this up, so everyone knows, my first semester, I was a 4 down girl. Like, this is before some of you guys came.
yeah,
So there's no excuses. It was just like, I mean, I was like, it was like Miles and Champ and all those guys. And then some of the girls, which were so like Papa, Lori Papa. Oh, you call it, yeah. There's like all these, whatever. And I don't know where I was going with this story. There was a story for this. Oh, okay, J-Rat. I don't know how you, whatever, but I was like super close with him for a little while. I remember sitting with him a lot the first, like, that's all I remember. I literally remember just sitting with him during chapel. And so I don't remember after that. I don't even remember. I do remember sometimes there'd be like rows of us sitting. We would
yeah,
have like a section, right?
yeah, for sure.
You're right. Memories are popping up. So we'd have like rows of whatever. And but yeah, I don't know where the shift came to come to 24. Like I was there and then I don't know if it was what happened. And I don't know if everyone knows that I got suspended my first year. I know I said it, but I got suspended my first year. That's why when we talk about it later, how sensitive it was that I actually didn't break the rules. And, so chapel, that was a long one. I don't know. Long story short, Buddha, I don't remember.
I mean, like me personally, one of my favorite chapels was like the job fair chapel and the
Oh yeah.
ministry fair chapel, because all you had to do was scan in and just walk through the little maze and walk out. It was like 5 minutes in and out and you're done.
You remember like the Halloween? Were you there that year? The first year? Well, you weren't. We did like a Halloween chapel.
Okay.
But wait, I'm pretty sure that Wolfie lived in 4 down, didn't he?
Yeah, Wolfie never, well, I shouldn't say never. Wolfie eventually moved to 24 down in the apartments, but for the first little while, year, 2 years or whatever he was there.
Because one of my first pictures at Valley Forge was with Wolfie.
Yeah, he didn't always live in 24 down, but even when he wasn't living in, it's like Bowden. Bowden never lived in 24 down, but he was part of the family. Like Wolfie
He
was
was in Bongiorno, right?
yep.
Oh my gosh,
And so
you're
like
right.
and so Wolfie was the same way those first few years. Like he didn't live
Okay.
on 24 down, but he was a part of 24 down.
Yeah.
And there was a few people like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I forgot about that. Okay, next question.
All right. So this one, Buddha says he's got one more question. It's bothered him for years.
Oh God.
He said that you said you would answer any question.
Yeah.
So here it
I'll
comes.
do it. I'll do it.
He says, props to your husband. He got you to say yes. He is definitely blessed. You're an awesome woman. But why didn't things ever work with you and Nate Camphin? I was his roommate at the time and I was always pulling for you guys. Just wondering.
Gosh, Nate can he's gonna be listening to this podcast.
Well,
Buddha. Okay, Nate Canfin. Let's start from the beginning, okay?
all right.
My personality was like let's be honest, I'm like happy. And I think with that, like people probably didn't take me seriously, but I could literally have a heart to heart with, you know what I mean? Like if it was just you and me right now and not everyone like Nate listening, no, I'm kidding. No, but I think I was that type of person that just like, I mean, I dated a few guys when I was there. I mean, like, I liked a bunch of guys when I was there, and I'll name them all if you want me to. Like, really. Like, I was wondering, like, do any of you guys have a crush on me? Like, what's happening here? But I remember, where was I? And like I said, like I'm talking little crushes, like nothing crazy. Like Matt already knows. I told it like 3 times.
Right.
I think I like Champ for a second. You know, like it was just like it was one of those like first year,
Sure.
whatever. So then with me, man, we didn't date that long though. So we dated for only like a month. But it was probably me because and it's not that it's not you, it's me. It was just like I think I just like tried to like be like, yeah, let's do this. And then realize like we were friends. And then it just was like, why make this? I was like trying to make it work. I wouldn't have anything negative to say about Nate though. I'm not just saying that. Like he
No,
was,
yeah.
and then like we somehow were friends after. But I don't I don't really know actually. Hang
Well, I
on,
think
I just think I just came to like I literally would jump sometimes. You know, I really was. I was that type of person. And so like I mean, the fact you're right though, Buddha. The fact that I did say yes was, you know, like let's see, like after I left, I just dated Ryan. And then after Ryan, things didn't work out. And then I met Jared maybe shortly after that. And actually Jared and Ryan knew each other just from coming to our church to do some stuff. But yeah, and it's been really good though. Like I'm like 10 years, it's incredible. And it's honestly been great. Like he's awesome. And so he's been fully supportive of me doing like the CrossFit stuff. And it's funny, I think some people ask like if I could beat up my husband. I got a funny story about that when whoever asked that. I think it was Andrew maybe. But okay, that was a long story short. Nate, you did nothing wrong. No, I think I was just like that in college. Honestly, we had so many guy friends, and I just like was being. I don't know. We literally only dated for like a month.
right.
I think I can definitely tell it was harder.
I mean,
Like,
I could be wrong.
just be honest with me.
No,
What's
but
going on? I'm just kidding.
my like may you might be able to like help me out here. I could
Yeah,
be wrong, but like I recall like and I'm not whatever. I don't think they would care. I recall like Nate and Carrie being more of a long running
yeah,
is this not going to happen type of a thing.
yeah.
Like I don't really remember the you and Nate stuff, and maybe it was before I came, but like I always remember like Nate and Carrie, the whole like will this, will this not, like
Hmm,
whatever.
hmm.
Um, so that I,
Yeah.
I guess that was my
Yeah,
two
and
cents on the whole
it's
thing.
it's actually funny that Buddha brought it up because it was such a short-lived thing. Like we were friends and then we like tried it. And I mean, I'm not trying to do whatever. Like I did end it, but it was like then we became friends again. It was
Well, I think that speaks to both of your characters that you're able to, put that
yeah.
put that aside and like focus on what's really important, which is the friendship.
Like what I should have done is dated nobody because I loved hanging out with everybody. But I think that was what was happening is that my personality hang out with everyone. And then eventually we literally felt like we lived with you guys.
Right.
So it's like bound to happen. There's like 5 girls and like 20 guys.
Right. For sure.
So
Well, that's what like I mean, there's like when you look at like Francis and Monkey, like
yeah,
they were together for so long. Like most of the time
yeah.
and like that was really rare because usually it was like
Mhm.
we were all young. Like, it was bouncing around like,
Oh yeah.
you know, so yeah, he wanted to ask that, so
That's a good question. Well, and then like with Tom and I were so close and that never like it was just like we were good friends.
sure.
And like we could hang out and talk about anything. And I just felt like he was, and then we'll have to bring up our memories because that was something that, like, I don't know, we went to a hockey game together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, he has a tattoo of the Red Wings when they were established, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. I still have no tattoos. So I was gonna actually write a little like 24 down here, like, yeah, guys, I did get it. I really wish I would have now that we're talking. So, all right.
Well,
Next
these
question.
next set of questions here come from Tom. Some of these are some quick hitter questions. So,
Yeah.
first one is he wants to know your favorite Buffalo Bills memory of all time.
Oh, Tom, what do you mean? No. I would say my first time ever going to a game was with my dad. I got the tickets for like $10 because it was the end of the season and they were playing the Patriots. And I just remember them having to run the ball all the time because the goalposts were shaking because it was so windy. It was like the legit most real first Buffalo Bills experience. Like, I'm in like head to toe Bills gear, 3 layers. You know what was awesome about going away to school? I would say this is one good thing about it, is all of the different teams. Like, I remember Nate was a huge Cowboys fan, and one time we almost beat them. And I wanted to throw it in his face because we were super competitive. And then I remember these. Who was
Banks was a
Banks?
Redskins fan.
Redskins. Yep. And
Buddha
then
was a Giants fan.
mm-hmm.
I mean, there was obviously all the Eagles
Yeah.
fans.
I just remember Nate and I going back and forth with, yeah, a lot of Eagles fans,
Yeah.
bunch of Steelers fans. I remember
Yep.
Champ was a Steelers fan. So anyways, I remember watching games in that little like
The back
lobby.
porch.
Yeah, the back porch thing. But yeah, memories of Buffalo Bills. Yeah, doing that, watching the Four Falls with my dad and him telling me his experience. Like, I felt like I was there. Like, I was like, Dad, how are you still a Bills fan? But and yeah, I would say going to games, and that's,
Well, he's got another Buffalo Bills question here. He wants to know if you're instilling the Bills Mafia in your kids. Have you slammed them through a table?
Well, it's really funny because this past Sunday, Tom, amazing game. Oh, well, I don't know when you're going to put this out, but it was when they played I can't even think of who they played. See? This is bad. Tom, I'll think about it. It was 44-33. Anyways, my brain is like, when they won at the
Seattle?
Yes, thank you. Oh my gosh, Seahawks. We have a Seahawks fan on our street, actually. He's super
really?
cool, though. Yeah. I haven't seen him since. He's probably hiding. Because I have a huge flag and I like wave it out in the front. It's so ridiculous. Anyways, one funny thing that I do with the kids is I'm very loud during the games, and we haven't had anyone over for the games yet. And so I'm like so loud. And like, I mean, my husband's actually a big Bills fan too. He was like a Baltimore fan, but he always liked the Bills, even though he never lived in Buffalo. So that was like a plus. But when I get really excited, I stand up, and now that I have like a pregnant belly, I'm like, woo! And like the kids literally jump on me, and I do this like, so they get crazy when I get crazy. So yes, I am instilling it.
Nice.
Not the tables yet. When they're 5.
Yeah, give it a few years.
Yeah.
His next question is, what's the hardest you laughed at Valley Forge?
The hardest I laughed. I don't know if there was like one moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough question to pinpoint like one time.
I mean, like, I would laugh. Honestly, this is funny how things do get brought up when you're on it. I would laugh so hard when Matt and Andrew would do their little, like, how Andrew had that talk that he did.
The Joe and Lucifer.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I used to get memories popped up on Facebook. They don't come up anymore. I don't know where they are, but that made me die laughing.
So I don't know if you caught it or not, but on the episode 24, we brought Joe on. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
so
no, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
He did an intro.
Yeah, well, remember I think maybe you were not on the call at the time. I thought you were, but at one point Andrew walked out of the room and then Joe came and walked in the room and he talked to everybody for like 2 to 3 minutes and like had people asking him questions and stuff like that.
No, the last special guest was when you had those pants on.
Oh, the no arms
Which
man.
I actually don't remember that. So
You don't remember the no arms man stuff?
I don't. I mean, I would. I don't remember.
It's not that memorable.
Okay. But anyways, I remember that. Those were like Andrew made me laugh so hard all the time. He was so funny.
So they this is a little bit of background here too. So Bowden was like really upset he wasn't able to make it for episode 24, but had he been able to, they were going to do a Joe and Lucifer segment. But there has been talk. Let me make the announcement right now, I guess, since we're bringing it up. There has been talk of a Joe and Lucifer episode of the
Oh my
24
God,
Down
yes.
podcast. So,
Oh my God.
so that everybody can look forward to that one.
Yes. Yes, that was really fun. It was always when we were being crazy and doing stupid things. Like it was just so funny.
For sure.
And I always feel like Andrew was there. You know?
Yeah.
And yeah, like I remember going to like the cafeteria with you guys and us being just like, you know. So that'd be my biggest one though, when they would do that. It was so funny.
His next question is, what's been your biggest accomplishment from weight training and fitness?
I would say was that competition I just did in February.
The 7th place one?
Yeah, we placed better than I thought we were going to. And I would say after that, I was like in the best shape of my life. And it felt, yeah, it was awesome. And I think I love team competitions more than I thought I would. So I would say that would be my biggest one. Yeah.
Nice. His next question is, since you brought it up on episode 24, that you guys would watch horror movies together, he wants to know what your favorite horror movie was.
I feel like the last time I watched a horror movie was with Tom because I loved them for so long, and then they just started like I started getting like I don't know if it's just because like life tried to like set in, and it was like reality hit, and I was like, oh my God, these are too scary for me. I think like the last one I saw was like Saw, and so I mean, I remember I like the suspense ones. Like I did like Sixth Sense and stuff, even though it's kind of I probably wouldn't watch it now.
Yeah.
But it's more just like I mean, it would be more like I would watch one with people that loved it, but I don't love them anymore. Sorry, Tom. The last one I saw that was very clever was Saw, and that was years ago. That was a lot. And we used to watch, oh my God, Tom and I watched this like French horror film. It was terrible. And I would bring my cousin and she'd be like, why are you making me watch this?
Well, I'm glad you brought up Saw, just because personally, like I have a Saw obsession. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I've got my Jigsaw character that I have. Did you hear what I'm doing with that?
No.
Oh, so you must have been added to the chat after. So do you remember my Jigsaw character? Like I had it like actually I have it here. I have like my Jigsaw mask, right? So like I used to like
I didn't know this.
I used to like in college, and maybe this was after you're gone, but like I had that Andrew had like a scary movie, but it was like the Scream mask, but like a funny version. And we would do it, and him and I would do like and Tom also, like Tom would make beats for us and we would do these like rap songs.
Oh my God, Tom.
And so Andrew actually has like I have no skill at all. Andrew has like some skill when it comes to freestyling. Obviously Tom's just the best. But so we would do and the videos were just hilarious. So my Jigsaw character actually has an album, like a full album that's coming out. I'm working on a full album. So
that reminds me, I do remember driving home, I think once with Tom and him trying to teach me how to beatbox. And I would just name random things and he would just go. And I was like, yeah, Tom, you are the coolest. Like, you're just like beatbox in my car and my little old Saturn. I did though, if I had to pick a horror movie, and I didn't see all of them. I think I only saw the first like 4. Isn't there like 6?
7.
Like, what would Jigsaw do or something?
There's
Isn't there one that's like, what would Jigsaw do?
No, but I love that.
Oh.
I like forget the forget the what would Jesus do bracelets. I got to make
Wait,
what would
there's not?
Jigsaw do. I no.
Oh my God, that's clever. You can use that. You
All
can use
right, thank you.
I'll let you use it.
That's awesome.
I don't know. Wow, that's creepy. Okay. I haven't had a WWJD bracelet in a really long time.
Yeah, well, now we know it stands for Jigsaw.
Yeah, oh my God, that's really funny. Where would I think of that? It's fine. But yes, Saw, I think it was because it was so crazy and unrealistic, like in the sense of, I know people are twisted, but I was like, this is just more like if he would just sit in the room, like so wow. I haven't watched one in a long time though.
That's fair.
Yeah.
His next question is, when are you coming back to Buffalo so we can hang?
Yeah. Probably not for a while. And I only live an hour away. Summertime I was coming probably every once a week. So currently I work like 12-hour, like I work part-time. I help with the online platform for the kids stuff at our church. And then I do actually do some personal training like through a Facebook group, like just my own stuff. It's more like body weight stuff. And so it was worked out perfect because people were home. It's just like it's just a few people that want it, but what was I going to say about that? Yeah, so I'm home, basically home with the kids. So my parents have one day off during the week, so I would go visit them. But they really are out and about because of the job they have to do. So they want to make sure that we're safe. And we don't know what it looks like. I'm not going to sit on here and talk about my thoughts and stuff, but like, what? I got 3 more months left. I'd rather be cautious being pregnant than, and it really is ramping up in our area. Like we're
Sure.
already in like a yellow zone, and I'm just like, whatever. It's fine if I don't see people.
Yeah, I think
The
Tom would,
dogs.
I think Tom would understand that for sure.
Tom. Next
Um,
summer.
there you go.
Excellent.
So his last question here is Tom's last question is he wants to know if you would leave your husband for Josh Allen.
I mentioned this to Jared and we were dying laughing.
Is this a Bills player? I don't know who Josh Allen is.
He's the quarterback, and
Okay.
he loves Buffalo. And so I'm just getting rid of this person that's texting me on here. So here we go. Fine. What did he say? Oh, would I leave? No, but I did talk to Jared about that. It was really funny because he's like, well, you would live in Buffalo then. And I would not, but I will say I'm very thankful we have a quarterback that loves Buffalo. Like he's like I'm not going to say like, it's too soon to say he's like Jim Kelly, but like his thought process, like Jim Kelly still lives in Buffalo. Like I used to teacher aide his daughter at our school that we went to. Like I went on a field trip with him. He like loves Buffalo. And I feel like that's how Josh Allen is. Like after every game, he's like, there's no place I'd rather be. Like I feel like he's not just in it for, and I might be saying that because I'm a Bills fan, but the way he talks really like he loves Buffalo. And I really hope he stays after he, like I hope it works out for him because I love the Bills.
No, that's cool. I'm not personally, I actually kind of hate the NFL. That's just me personally.
I was gonna say the Bills. I was like,
no. I don't like American football.
Yeah, I get it.
So I didn't know who he was, but I think that's a really cool trait. Like when you have an athlete that's like, you get those like certain teams have like that one or two athletes that's like you could like this is a fan favorite because of how much they love the city or whatever.
Yeah. I feel like this is the first year too, like that. I feel like all the team players are really like enjoying each other because you just see more than like a few years ago when it was just like, and then the coach is so, so I will say though that my husband has made me appreciate college more because it does seem like they have to work hard and like, I don't know if you even follow college, but
see, I don't really like follow it, but I will watch college. I cannot. Just me personally, I just can't watch the NFL, but I do watch college.
Yeah, so like college, and then they would get recruited. It's almost like contracts and deals and stuff. So it does. So that's why it's nice when you see people that love being on the team they're on any, But you still watch hockey, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
I was
Yeah,
saying,
like
I mean, you do have a tattoo, so I was like,
yeah, I mean, like for me, hockey and what I say is real football, soccer. Like those are like my two sports that
yeah.
um, yeah. Well, we got let's see, next set of questions here come from Andrew.
Hmm.
His first one is, do you remember the Hawk Nelson song that we jammed to?
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, Andrew. I didn't remember, and then what I did is I went through all the list of Hawk Nelson, just the names, and I feel like it is this song. But as soon as I saw it, it came back, and I'm pretty sure it's "Bring 'Em Out." I'm pretty sure it was like "Bring 'Em Out, Bring 'Em Out."
Uh, I'm sure, yeah,
um,
I'm sure he'll get a hold of you and be like, yeah, that was it.
because
Or
that was like the most crazy song. I'm like, I don't know why it wouldn't be, because as soon as I saw the song, I was like, oh my God, let's bring it out. And then when I listened to it, I was like, this is it. So
right.
bring them out.
Well, his next
Final
question,
answer.
his next question, you kind of touched on a little bit earlier, and you said you got a story for us, and it's the can you beat up your husband question.
Oh my God. So I know I've never beat up my husband, but um funny story is, so in CrossFit you do these like ring muscle ups, and so like you go over the bar. It's like I think it's my Facebook profile picture, like I'm
Okay.
up here. But when you're learning, like I would always hit the rings like right here, and I had these bruises that literally looked like someone like grabbed me. And I went to a like graduation party, and this girl kept staring at me because I had a tank top on. She kept staring at me, and I was like, what is she staring at? And then I'm like, I have these huge bruises, symmetrical on my arms. And it was my neighbor. Like, we like know everybody on our street. I'm just like,
Right.
hey. And so our neighbors, it was their daughter's graduation party. Anyways, so she came up to me later, like my neighbor was like, oh my God, Erin, my friend who is a doctor was so concerned for you because you had these big bruises on your arms. And I said, rest. She goes, rest assured. I told her, I hear her dropping those weights in her garage. She is crazy in there. And what's funny is Jared was like, oh my God, someone would think that you beat me up. Like, or no, sorry. He said, you think that I beat her up? You would think that someone would think I could beat him up. I'm like, Jared, sort of. But no, I don't know if I could. He's actually, even though I do the fitness stuff and I wouldn't say bigger. Like I just, you know, he's pretty strong for himself. Anyways, yes, I can beat him up.
There you go. All right, his next one is, are you still just as hilarious and fun loving as you used to be?
I am. I am. Like I said, we go out and we say hi to the garbage guys every Monday morning. I literally wave my Bills flag because they're huge Bills fans. They like fist bump Landon because Landon loves them.
That's awesome.
And yeah, we have a good time. Yeah, I would say I still am. Like I said, it's just like me, but I'm 33 now with 3 kids, married for 10 years. But yeah, I still love people. I really do. I love people, and I'm crazy.
All right, Andrew's last question here is, what was your go-to at Wawa?
That's a funny one. When I saw it, I was trying to think about it, but I remember getting like subs there a lot. Or what would you guys call them? Hoagies?
Yeah, I think that's what they called them
But
there.
Michigan, I
It's
feel like
subs.
Michigan is similar. You say pop there.
Hell yeah, we say
Yeah.
pop. It's not
Yeah.
soda, it's
Michigan,
pop.
exactly. I remember Michigan always being very similar with the wording.
Yes.
Um, I remember getting subs there a lot, and I remember grabbing them all the time because of work. Like I would grab that or Wendy's. Oh my gosh, on my way to the gymnastics place. So I'd say the subs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So this next question here comes from James Majeski. And he says, do you remember me running out of gas on Route 76 with you and Katie in the car going back to school from church?
Oh my gosh. And I'm glad that he actually asked that question because it was hilarious. Do you know this story?
No.
So yeah, there must have been an accident because we were like in the same spot for like ever. and it was on my birthday. I remember it was on my birthday. Oh my gosh, it was on my birthday. And what happened was is he was running out of gas. So we got out of the car, not James, he was driving. I think it was James driving. We got out of the car and ran down the hill to this gas station, got like a thing of gas, came back up and was like putting it in. And I remember it like being more like epic at the time, but I just remember being like bumper to bumper for hours because we were like in Philly.
Yeah.
And so but the funniest part was running down to a gas station, literally running down a hill off the thruway near Philly. So I do remember that. And I didn't remember who it was with. So
Nice.
yeah.
All right, let's see. The next set of questions. These are like I think you were looking forward to these ones. These are the Colleen questions here. So
Colleen.
her first one is, what was the best memory of the Buffalo trip and your worst memory of the Buffalo trip?
Oh my God. Well, some of the memories came up after she told me, like, I remember her and Andrew getting in a tiff, but oh my God, the best memory was just like being at Tom's house and we were there like all night, like drinking and um like for her to remind me of the concert because I forgot about anything outside of us being at Tom's house that night. And it was like, yeah, it was Andrew, Colleen, me, Tom, and Ryan. Ryan was there. And so there's 5 of us. But yeah, they came up to visit and it was like I remember them coming to see like visit my family. They said hi. I would say that was the best. I don't know if I have a worse though, except that I was so paranoid my mom was gonna drive by because we literally lived like a mile, less than a mile away from Tom. You knew
Okay.
that.
I didn't know that you guys were that close. Yeah.
Tom and I, yes, we lived. When we found out that we lived that close to each other, I'm like, this is insanity. We lived so close. And so I just remember being paranoid after, because it was like, I mean, don't want to go into detail, but like back in the day, we were like fearful of life. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
just the theology is just like crazy. So I just remember thinking my mom was going to wake up and be like, Erin's drinking. I need to go.
I gotta
Literally.
drive.
Isn't that hilarious? They probably wouldn't think that was my worst memory, but I just remember being like super nervous. But we stayed like all night. I don't think I went home until like 8 a.m.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was actually really fun. It was really fun. And we played like Guitar Hero. His parents are a blast. It was
Dude,
hilarious.
Tom's parents are awesome. Like,
They're amazing.
yeah, like and I've said that before too, like about all the parents that I met within like the 24 down have just been like so like um you think of like um Gene and Francis's mom, so awesome, like so like accommodating to us every time we would go there. I think of like the Brazilian twins and like their parents and like just like every
Yeah.
parent every parent that I met, I was just like blown away by like how awesome they were. But then like I realized the reason that we all are so close and that we all have the relationship we have is because all of our parents brought us up to be the people to have that. So obviously it makes
Yeah.
sense that all the parents would be really cool. But yeah, dude,
Yeah.
Tom's parents are
I
awesome.
mean, they like got beer and stuff. Like we were just like, it was so funny.
Did you hear?
Um,
Okay, so let me tell you. I don't know if you heard this story or not. So this is after you were gone, but this is Alex Anderson, one of the guys that burned our
mhm.
flag. Like, so at this point, like we were close and everything like that, and it was me and Matthias and Alex and um, maybe was Andrew there. I don't remember who. I can't remember who was all there off the top of my head, but a few of us went to Buffalo for whatever, and Alex was there. Well, I don't. He won't care if I say this. Alex met a girl while we were there, and we were drinking the one night, and then he went and to hang out with the girl and ended up like staying there with the girl and then called Tom's dad in the morning to come pick him up. And he's just like, all right. And like, like that's the kind of like Tom's parents are just like, yeah, whatever. Like, well, like,
Gosh.
yeah,
They were. I mean, I think that was the weekend that I think that Ryan and I finally like started liking each other or something.
that makes
Now
sense.
that I'm, yeah, now that I'm thinking about memories. But But yeah, I just remember his parents was, and we had this like connection too. Like we kind of came from like the churches that like did things together, and I was like, oh my god, you go to that church? Oh, that's so crazy. How do we never meet? Like it was one of those things. So yeah, it was cool.
So her next question here is, if you could have changed one thing while you were at Valley Forge, what would it be? It could have been a rule, something you wish you did or didn't do, chapel every day, etc. So like if there was one thing you could change about Valley Forge, what would it be?
One thing. One thing.
Yeah, how do you narrow it down to one, right?
I mean, this is why it's so funny because giving another shout out to Bethany because like we still are actually really close. She's like one of my besties. But we had different experiences at Valley Forge, to be honest. Like she finished there, she did great, like never got in trouble, and um, and like from I would say the biggest thing like from where I've come from Valley Forge and now is like yes, we've been in like church life pretty much ever since, but my theology has changed so much. Like, and so like, I know people that went to Valley Forge that are just like, I'm not a Christian anymore. I totally get it. Like, I'm just like, it makes sense because of, I wouldn't just say Valley Forge. I would just say that like, I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking
No,
about? Like,
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes.
yeah. And so I think some people didn't hit them, but like, man, that theology I grew up in was like scary. And
For
I'm
sure.
like, and so like I just have this whole new perspective on things. So it's been so great. But I would say I don't know, one thing I would change. I wouldn't say chapels. Like I didn't really care. I was such a social person. So I just went to see people anyways. And so I have to go, but I get to sit with my friends. It's such a bummer. And so I would say the one thing I don't even know. One thing I could change. Like, okay, come back to that. Let me
All
think
right.
about that.
All
Yeah.
right. Um her next one here is what is your memories of the girls' powder puff football games?
Well, I do remember that um Ryan and Nate and
Banks? Was it Banks?
Banks, yeah,
Yeah.
they were our coaches and they took it very
For
seriously.
sure.
Like
Yeah.
like
Like
it was legit.
I remember this is, and you could correct me if I'm wrong. I remember at one point because like when they would do the Patriot Bowl, like they had their practices that they would do
Mhm.
all the time. And when this powder puff came, like they wanted to do the practices with you guys too. And I remember like walking out at one point while they're doing one of these practices, and they're like yelling at you girls, and I kind of felt like I was like, Are you, like calm down a little bit. But it was just because they were passionate about it, and
Yeah.
I'm sure in the long run it helped you girls,
Yeah.
succeed. But
No, and that's what I was saying. It was one of the best moments because afterwards when we all huddled, it was like 24 down. It was like, we actually got our like those guys did not take it easy on us. Like they're like, do it again. And I felt like, and as a college student, you take things like more seriously in the sense of like, it was like this huge deal, like powder puff. It made a statement for 24 down. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, if we win, like, we're the toughest girls in Valley Forge. And so when someone reposted it to me, I showed it to Jared and he's like, oh my God, look at you like striking people out. And like, I was like, yeah, well, we had good coaches. So, no,
That's good.
but I would say that I do remember people getting heated after. I remember Colleen getting heated. There was a lot of
Shocking.
like shirts ripping. And I just remember I was very like level headed. I was like, oh, it's just, Colleen, our little fireball. We love her.
Her next question, and this is the one she asks everybody. Um, she wants to know when you're getting the 24 down tattoo.
I know. And that's where I was going to say, Colleen, here it is. But where's my pen? I've been waiting to get a tattoo. I want to get one with my brother. Then I wanted to get one I wanted to get one with Bethany. I'm like, Bethany, we got to get a tattoo. But I will get a tattoo eventually. I don't know because I don't have any. I don't know if I'm just going to be like 24 down. It's like my, not to be whatever, but
All
I've
right.
been waiting to get one with my brother and he's been taking his good old time. So Who knows when I'll get one? But does everybody have one?
No, the 24 down tattoo?
Yeah.
No, there's a small handful of us that have the 24 down tattoo.
Well, I will say this: if you end up getting 24 down tattoo, like the stick-ons, I will buy some.
All right. All right, fair enough. I'll
For
see.
now,
I'll,
we'll
I'll
see.
see if I can get something in the. All right. So the last thing. This isn't a question. She just says. This is from Colleen. She says, "Girl, I miss my dirty buff so much. We had such a great time together. Congrats on the new baby."
Thanks, girl. Love ya. Dirty buff, dirty jers.
All right, we got one more set of questions here for you, and we got about a half an hour left, roughly.
Okay.
We got one more set of questions, and then after that, I'm going to go into a few things that I wanted to share with you, and then I'm going to let you kind of share whatever you want,
Okay.
and we'll go from there. But um, the last set of questions here come from Junior.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What?
So yeah, his first question is he says one of my favorite memories is spending my birthday at your gymnastics workplace. You guys surprised me with a cake and 24 down folks, etc. It was the best. Video of this day to be released soon. I promise, Hat. So Junior's got a bunch of videos that
He
he
does?
so he must have a video of this. But yeah, so that's one of his favorite memories was you guys surprising him at the work with a bunch of us there and got him a cake and all that kind of stuff like that.
Which is so funny because speaking of Junior, I never called him Junior. I always called him by his name,
Oberio?
Barrio. And then
Yeah.
I never called you Hat.
Yeah.
And I never called Tom Rizzo.
Yeah.
Like I just always, and I was like, was I the only one that did that?
I would say if you weren't the only one, you were one of very few because most
Like
people.
Carrie might have not.
Yeah, and
I know Colleen did, but
so like for me personally, like I loved that people embraced the name Hat for me, but then like I also loved that like you called me like it was that
yeah.
was like your name for and it was
Yeah.
so I think that was really cool. But and
Which
so
is funny, not everybody. Like I did say Wolfie and like,
sure.
but I always remember like, oh Barrio. Like and we'd give ridiculous hugs to each other. Like he was
Yeah.
just so sweet.
Yeah.
Every time I'd see him, I'd be like, you're ridiculous. He'll remember that.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, I can't wait to see that footage. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
me too. Yeah, he's got a bunch of videos. He's got like a hard drive or something from uh Valley Forge, like at the time of Valley Forge. And so he said he's got a bunch of videos and I've been bugging him for months now. Like, Junior, you got to get those out there for everybody to see. So that
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
and then his other one, he just says he says you are awesomeness. You always will be. Where does your awesomeness and amazingness come from?
Oh, I don't even know. I do remember Barrio had a special place in my heart. I remember always seeing him and we'd always give like these huge hugs to each other. He was just so sweet. I don't know. I try not to take life too seriously, knowing that life is serious though at the same time, not being oblivious to the world, but you know. I'm a pretty like I don't know. I'm still laid back like, you could ask me anything. I wouldn't feel embarrassed or anything,
Right.
So, if
Right.
you have anything, shoot cuz
Well, I mean that pretty much concludes like the submitted questions. So I do want to get in to a few things. So the first thing I wanted to get into, and this is going to be it's not that big of a deal, but it's a little bit of a surprise for you here. So back in some of you guys will remember this. Back in college, I had my purple Plymouth Breeze. That was my car. I had this purple Plymouth Breeze, right? And if you remember, those of you who ever were in my car, I had the roof of my car completely covered, stickers, pins, all kinds of things, right? And so there was at one point where you gave me a Buffalo Bill sticker to put up on my roof or whatever. And I was like, heck yeah, like I'll put this up there because like um I was kind of the same way too. Like I don't know what it was. Like obviously the Red Wings are my team, but like I always loved the Sabres. Like I always loved the Sabres. And so you're like, yeah, I've got this Buffalo Sabres sticker to put on your roof. And I was like, yeah, I'll put it on. So when I sold that car, this is back years ago now. I sold that car, the transmission went, I sold the car, and I was like, man, like I gotta somehow save all these like stickers and everything like that.
Yeah.
And so I like peeled them all off the roof and like stuck them or whatever. And so to this day, I still have the Buffalo Saber sticker
Oh
that you
my God,
gave
that's
me.
the old logo
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. So I thought you'd
Ew, that's
thought you'd
so awesome.
thought you'd appreciate seeing that.
That was sweet.
Um
See, I wouldn't have remembered that. Now that you say, I do remember the stickers now,
yeah.
but that's cool.
So it might have been honestly, and I don't know, timing, I don't know, but it might have been the time that you and I went to a game together that you maybe that was the first time you were in my car. I don't know. And you saw
Yeah.
the stickers and maybe you're like, "Oh, hey, I got to get you a Saber sticker." But there
Yeah.
was I was telling my wife a little bit about the story earlier. I don't remember exactly how, like I think it was I know it was right around my birthday and my dad bought me tickets to see the Red Wings play the Flyers in Philly. And I don't remember, he bought me 2 tickets. I don't remember who was supposed to go. I think somebody was supposed to go and they couldn't go.
I feel like I remember that.
And I was like, "Well, I can't, like, I don't want to go by myself." And I was like, "Well, Erin loves hockey." Like, so I asked her, I was like, "Hey, you want to go to this game?" And like, it wasn't your team, but you're like, "Yeah." And like, I remember going to that game, and I mean, we sat pretty high up, but like, that was such a, I think the Wings lost, unfortunately, but like, it was fun. Like, it was a little
Yeah.
outing to get off campus, and so that's one of to this day, that's one of my favorite memories from college is like being able to go to that hockey game with you, and
Yeah.
like 2 people that just love the sport of hockey,
Yep.
like watching the game and stuff. Um, so
That's
that,
cool.
yeah. Um, so the other thing that like I want to bring up is if you're okay with it is the whole suspension thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you bring it up. It's fine.
So and I touched on this a little bit in my podcast. I don't know if you heard my episode yet or not.
Mm-mm,
Um
not yet.
so that was, to me, that like that was a very big moment in my Valley Forge life and just in my life in general. To set the stage for those of you who haven't heard my episode or haven't heard the story, are not familiar with the story, it was okay. I always get Memorial Day and Labor Day mixed up. It was whatever the first holiday
It
in.
was Labor Day. It was
Okay.
Labor Day because it was. I just remember that soccer season.
Yeah. So it was Labor Day weekend 2007.
Yep.
So this was my second year. This
Hmm.
was your last semester then, right?
Well, it was my third year, but it was my last semester before I left. Yep.
Okay. So there was a group of us that went to New Jersey. I would say that there's maybe 15 of us total.
Yeah.
And we went because it was Labor Day weekend. So we're just going to go hang out. So Raven lived in Jersey and James lived in Jersey. So it was like, okay, well, the guys are going to, we'll stay the night at James' house. The girls will
Yes.
stay the night at
Yeah.
Raven's house and everything like that. So we went to the beach. And so here's how I remember it. And you jump in at any point, you
Okay.
correct me if I'm wrong at any point. But we went to this, the beach, and it was Carrie's, it was either her birthday or her birthday weekend was like right in that time frame. So we're hanging out on the beach and we're like, oh, like it'd be kind of cool to like celebrate Carrie's birthday. And
Yeah.
like maybe we'll like get something to drink or whatever. So the problem was though that like we knew not everybody would want to partake. So we didn't announce this. We kind of kept this to ourselves, not because we were trying to hide it from everybody, but out of respect for people. We didn't want to put everybody else in a weird situation. So we're like leaving the beach and we're like, okay, hey, we'll stop at the store and get something. Well, a lot of us didn't know Jersey like laws that like liquor stores and things like that close really early. And so we like go to stop somewhere and they're closed. And we're like, oh, well, that sucks. And James was like, well, it's okay. Like, I think my mom's got some stuff at home in her fridge. Like, okay, cool. Right.
Yeah.
So we go back and we're all like, as a group, we're all hanging out at James' mom's house.
I remember what it looks like. I
Yeah.
do.
Dude, I can picture this so vividly in my mind.
Because it's so traumatic for us.
Yeah, yeah. So we finally get to the point where like some of the people that we knew weren't gonna drink they had gone to bed, and we were still like, I think weren't we having a bonfire or something outside, right? I think we
People were
were,
in, yeah, there was like people sleeping. There was
yeah.
like a bonfire.
And
We
so
were in
we're
the
like,
kitchen.
yeah, so we're like, okay, well, now's a good time. Let's all like, and literally, here's what James' mom had in her fridge. She had two Mike's Hard Lemonades, and like, I'm not even joking, like a eighth of a bottle, maybe even less, of apple pucker. So like, this is not enough accumulative liquor to get
Didn't she have wine though?
maybe. I don't
Okay,
remember the wine.
she had wine because
Okay.
I'll tell you the story later
Okay.
of why
From
I got suspended.
from what I remember, there was not enough alcohol for if one person drank all of it to even get drunk. Like it was so, and now
Yeah.
we're splitting this up between like 5, 6 people. So like literally like us celebrating her birthday was I had, I don't know, maybe,
Cheers.
yeah, I had like 3 sips of a Mike's Hard Lemonade. It
You
was
were
like,
wasted. I'm just
yeah,
kidding.
it was more like the principle of like, hey, we got to celebrate her birthday, right?
Yeah, right.
Now
This is so funny.
fast forward a little bit later in the night, and nothing, again, correct me if I'm wrong, nothing against them, but I think it was Carrie and Raven, and they definitely were not drunk, but they kind of were acting as if they were drunk, and they got in a fight about something. I don't know what it was,
I don't remember this.
and they started like,
Outside?
yes, outside,
Okay, maybe I do.
and they started yelling at each other. The cops come because I think a neighbor called the cops. Well,
Mm,
now the cops come and they run, the girls book it inside, right? It's like James and I are sitting by the fire, like, okay. And like the cop was just kind of like, and yeah, it was a little, we got to complain. It was a little loud. Like he didn't care. Like he was just like, can you just keep it down? Right.
New
So
Jersey
the,
here.
so the girls like book it inside. And I think they woke up some of the people. Um,
Oh.
and so
Mhm.
then it was just kind of like, oh, now do the people know like something happened, whatever. Well, the next day we're like hanging out on the beach again, and I think he was our ARA at the time. His kid's name was Ty. Came up and
Yes.
basically asked us like, "Hey, were you guys drinking last night?" And we told him like, "All right, here's the deal. Like, the 5 or 6 of us, or whatever it was, we split this, and it was like nothing. Like we split this, so like we were honest with him, and he told us, "All right, I appreciate you being honest. I don't think it's a big deal, so I'm not going to say anything." Like, okay, cool, great. So we get back to campus, and he decides that he's going to go start asking people like what he should do as an ARA. So he starts asking people like,
Forgot
"Hey,
about this.
hey, so this is what happened. These people were drinking." All of a sudden, these rumors start spreading rampant around campus. There was a rumor that we were like hammered downtown Phoenixville in a bar, and Don Myers walked in on us. There was a rumor that we had a 500 plus person rager on the back of campus in the woods. And I was like, there's not even barely 500 students here. Like, what do you mean? So like all these like crazy rumors start spreading, and we're like, all right, we got to like nip this in the butt before like it,
There was a
whatever.
rumor. Yeah, there was a rumor there was like an orgy going around. Do you remember
Yes.
that?
Yes.
I
Okay.
was like, yeah, that's what we were doing.
So like,
24-hour real tight.
so these crazy rumors are going on, and we're like, before these rumors get back to student life, let's just go to student life, be honest with them, tell them what happened. And so this is when it like really hits home for me. I remember going and pleading our case or whatever. Now, so I'll stop. I'll pause right here for a second. I'm
Okay.
going to let you, because I know you wanted to say something about the wine or how you remember it. Um,
Well, you know more detail than I. I forgot it was Carrie's birthday. Now the memory of staying at Raven's house came back or whatever. One thing I remember that was really big for me was that so I got suspended drinking with somebody my first semester. But the problem was is that someone of age bought us alcohol. It was the most dumb thing ever. And I think it's because of how we were raised. Alcohol is bad, like this whole thing. I get to campus. I'm like free for all. So stupid. And this girl, we're in her car. I'm in her back seat, and I don't even remember her name. She was like older, and like she probably left before you even came. Anyways, cops came because we were in like the ghetto. Like I don't even know where we were. We were at like her brother's house outside, so there was cops everywhere. I was only 17, so I had like two like wine coolers. Like I don't remember. And I was so nervous because the cops came, but they had to call my parents because I was only 17. So that was a whole thing. My mom thought I was whatever. Fast forward, I have a record now. So I got kicked off the soccer team my first year, but it was at the end of the year. So it wasn't like right in the beginning. It was like probably midway through. Anyways, fast forward, I've got this record now. So I remember, this is like, I literally remember this like yesterday because it was so pivotal to my leaving Valley Forge. And what's really funny, let me just say real quick, is that I probably would have left earlier, but I like loved my friends. You guys are the most expensive friends.
Right. Right.
I was like, I stay for my friends at this private, stupid school. It's good. But so all I remember that night was I'm not going to drink because I have a record. But what did happen is I took a sip of something. I'm talking like a tiny sip because I was like, I'm celebrating Carrie's thing. I'm not going to drink, guys. So here's my little sip to you. Literally like a mazel tov.
Yes.
Ryan did. So this is what happened. Ryan did the same thing because he was going to play basketball. And so I like literally remember telling everyone, I'm not drinking tonight. I don't care how much alcohol there is. I'm not drinking. I'm going to do a little mazel tov, right? That was it. So when I got called in, and biggest regret, Colleen, was telling them I had a friggin' sip of alcohol. But you go down with your friends when you're in college, you know? If I was like, you know what, whatever. It was one of those, like, I would say I was young and stupid to even say that because I didn't really drink. And
Right.
none of us really got crazy anyways, but I just remember making a point telling Ryan, we're not drinking. We're going to play soccer this year and whatever. And like, we both took like this little tiny sip just to celebrate. So with my record, they even brought that up, which was really sad that I got suspended, kicked off the soccer team as a captain. So they lost me and Carrie. And I'm not saying I was amazing, but I was like, just like I like bulldozed on the field. So like I did something. Like, and Carrie was a good soccer player. Like her technique was like really, I just remember her being great. So they lost both of us and the rumors, and it just like, it went down after that. And I just said, I got to get out of here. Like, I just knew like, I don't even know my GPA wasn't even, it got better, but like, I just didn't really do well at Valley Forge, except I had you guys, like literally, like
Right.
my friends. I did a lot better in some classes. I mean, I did I mean, when I finished with like a 4.0 at Buff State because I was focused. It's just, that really threw me off. And then I found out when I found out that basketball players were drinking and getting suspended from like 3 games, I said, this is it. I said, this fundamentalism stuff and this BS, I was like, I got to be done. I remember go ahead.
No. So that
Oh,
again, like when you get a chance to listen to my episode, like I
yeah,
go
me
into
too.
this and I am like I get very passionate and emotional, and I'll give you kind of like a quick recap right now, and I'll try to not get emotional, but like, so we go to student life, and I don't know if you know this or not, maybe you do, but it was me. So here's the other thing too. Did Ryan, because I know Ryan was involved. Did he get kicked off the basketball team? Because I don't remember him getting kicked. I don't think he got kicked off the basketball team.
So no, basketball wasn't in session yet.
Okay.
So, because basketball was like winter and
Yes.
and I remember, you're right. I don't think he did, but I think he decided not to because of what happened.
Okay.
I think what happened is he got suspended and maybe like, okay, once you play you get like a couple games or something. I mean, to be honest, I don't think Ryan was really committed to it like in life
Sure.
with like, I think he was just like, I'm not gonna play, like whatever.
Yeah.
um And then, so yeah, go ahead.
So so here, I don't know if you know this or not, but I know for a fact it was me, Tom, and James, and I don't remember if Ryan was with us during this or not. He probably was, because they called. Did they call the girls? Did they call you guys in as a group at one point? Maybe they. No. Here's the. They called us in individually, but then
Yes.
so here I don't think Ryan was with us. They called us in individually, but then me, Tom, and James separately as a group went after. The three of us went after, and we went and met with Dr. Mortensen, and the three of us pled with him. We were like, listen, I don't, what happened happened. We were honest with you. If there's anything the three of us can do extra, if you want to give us some extra punishment, whatever, to spare those girls, like, please, like, we will take on anything. And like we're pleading
Yeah.
with Mortensen, because here's the other thing too, like you and Carrie are on the soccer team. Raven was on a ministry team at the time.
Oh yeah.
And so we were like, this potentially will ruin all three of their lives in one way. Where like the three of us, we can take on, give us an extra week, give us an extra 2 weeks, like whatever, we don't care. We'll take that on. And he looked, I will never forget,
Be
like this.
open and honest, say whatever you need to say.
I very clearly, I remember him looking me dead in the eyes. He
God.
said, I promise you, whatever we decide to do, whatever judgment that we give. Because I brought up the fact, I was like, there's been rumors of like players on the basketball team do this and nothing happens. And he looked me in my eyes. He goes, I promise you, whatever we decide to do from this point on, everybody will be treated the same way. And I just remember like being like, okay, like that's fair. If you're gonna stick to your word, that's fair. But again, please, like, if there's any way, please spare these girls.
Mm-hmm.
Give them a second chance. What do? They suspend us all. And not even 3 weeks later, there were basketball players that
Yep.
were caught. Like, we turned ourselves in. Basketball players that were caught drunk and high on campus, and they got I think a 2 or 3 game suspension.
Yep.
But the
3 game suspension.
but those 2 or 3 games were just like exhibition game, like preseason game. Like they weren't even
Yep.
and that was like, for me, that was a turning point of like, you weren't there to see the downfall of Josh. Like, I got very dark my last year. So like, I mean, to the point of like, I was drinking on campus, like just blatantly drinking on campus, walking around with, yeah.
I wouldn't put that past you.
Yeah. But like, I got very like dark, and that was the kickoff to it, was the fact that the president of student life, I pled with him to show some mercy to you girls. Give extra stuff to the three of us guys. We don't care. And he flat out told me, well, don't worry, whatever happens to you guys will happen to everybody now on. 3 weeks later, it's like, oh well, apparently that's not the case.
Yeah. And so
And
that was the hardest thing, was hearing that. And the hardest thing was, like I said, now I know my biggest regret was to say, but I think we were all in the moment of like, we were in it together. So it was kind of like, I was like 19, oh no, I was 8. Hang on. When did
you
I
were
leave? I was 17 going 8.
you were
I
19.
was 19.
Yeah.
So I was like 19, we're all in it together. I did take a sip. So I'm thinking like, rules are rules. I say I take a sip, like I should have not. But then I thought like, oh my God, Carrie's gonna go down, not me. It was like this whole like mind thing of like,
Yeah.
what am I gonna do? Just be left off the hook where Carrie's suffering. So it was just like one of those in the moment of like, and I really do think they played that to the card of like when I got in trouble at first, which is so funny because people thought we were crazy for drinking. I'm like, but that was the fundamentalism of those types of schools, you know what I mean? And like, rules are rules. And I've heard, I mean, there's schools that are even crazier than that. So
Oh, for
I was like,
sure.
oh my God, the fact that we can hang out as late as we did, I was like, so thankful. It was like 1 a.m. I was like, woohoo, 1 a.m. We used to like sleep on the sidewalk. Like, it's just ridiculous. But yes. So that was my biggest thing with Valley Forge, was the inconsistency, for sure.
Well,
Like all the other stuff I let go. Like I was like, that's fine. But that type of stuff really got to me because I thought like, That is just so unfair. And it's like almost like people already had judgments on us because we did kind of didn't 24 down. We looked like we're like trying to like break the rules, which is so dumb
And
because
that's the crazy thing is like 24 Down had that kind of like reputation of being like, oh, that whatever. But the truth of it matter was like at the time, we were all like really good kids, like
yeah,
followed
we're
all
like,
the rules. Like,
"Ooh."
no,
Yeah.
it's yeah,
At
that
this point, oh, go ahead.
no, I was just that like that moment, I will never forget that like it killed me inside seeing you girls lose your spot on the team, seeing Raven lose her spot on that ministry team.
Yeah.
All because like again, here's my recollection. It got to the point of like everybody had like just a tiny little bit that we could have, and then we were like, okay, it's Carrie's birthday, so she gets the most, and it was like she had maybe half a bottle of Mike's Hard Lemonade, and that was like
Right.
that's like there was
Right.
nothing, there was nothing,
I
but
know.
whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. Let me. Do you want to say anything else on
I
this?
was just gonna say one of the other hard things was because I got suspended during the season. So in college, you only get 4 eligible years to play. So I went to Buff State and I wanted to play while I was there, and I only had 1 year. They literally took the eligibility away from me too, like that first year and third year. Like we were literally we maybe it was Labor Day weekend. We maybe have played one game. And I got that whole year taken away. And it was like a D3 school, so it was even better. And I was going to make the team. Like the coach came out and I just decided not to. I didn't want to, and I was young still too. And I just thought, like, I don't want to be involved in a team for only a year and not to be able to play for the next 2 years or whatever. So it was just like a bummer. I mean, it's been so long that like now I look back and I'm like at this point it's like for us
Yeah,
it made us closer, you know what I mean?
for
Like
sure, for
it's a
sure.
bummer, but I'm not going to send my kids there, you know. That's for
Smart,
sure.
smart.
You
Well, let
guys can
me.
go anywhere, but really university.
All right, University of Valley Forge now.
Yeah.
All right, well, let me do this really quick. I'm going to do a few quick plugs,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to just say a few quick words, and then after that, I'm going to let you close it out.
Okay.
So quick plugs. Twitter, if you want to follow us on Twitter, you could. Our handle is at 24 Down Podcast. Basically, I just post when a new episode is up. Um, if you want to email us for any reason, I can't think of a reason, but if you think of one, you can email us 24downpodcast at gmail.com. We got two Facebook pages. There's the 24 Down Podcast, 24 Down Podcast page that you can like and subscribe to it. I don't know what it is exactly. That one's public. There's a private Facebook group as well, that I made private just so that we don't get John Smith randomly joining this group or whatever. Like it's not meant to keep anybody out that we know. Like if you have any affiliation or tie, like get a hold of somebody, we'll get you in that group. But those I use to again post information for the podcast, give a chance to have you ask questions, and that's probably where all the information will be about the eventual 24 Down reunion whenever that happens. Hopefully, 2021. We will see. Um, this podcast, as well as most of the other ones, are on YouTube as well. If you want to watch the video version, and then lastly, storefrontier.com/24down. That's where you can buy all kinds of 24 Down related T-shirts and such. Maybe there'll be a "What Would Jigsaw Do" one after this episode. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so that's storefrontier.com/24down. With that, let me just say, like, I am so happy to have had the past hour and a half to catch up with you, Erin. I know we've talked a little bit over the past few weeks setting this up, and you're now in that chat, so like we get to talk a little bit and everything. But it's been a blast, really being able to sit down, talk to you, catch up. This was an episode like I was looking forward to a lot. I said that you and I had a very very cool friendship the whole time that we were there.
Yeah.
I remember I could always go to you with if I had some girl trouble or whatever the case was. And
I
like,
remember.
yeah, we just like, we had that very special bond. And like, I just want to say thank you because that like, that meant a lot to me still to this day means a lot to me. And I'm so happy to see, where you are today. You got 2 kids, another one on the way, happily married, killing it in the fitness world, making all of us proud. And I really appreciate you coming on. Like I tell everybody, this is part 1, so you're more than welcome to come on for a part 2, 3, 4, 5, however many you want to come on for.
Like a
Uh,
fitness class. I'm just
yep.
kidding.
But it's been a pleasure having you on. You are definitely like one of my favorite people in the entire world, and it's cool to sit down with you for a little while and chat. So with that, I will let you close us out. You can do whatever you like. You can say whatever to the whole 24 Down family. You can whatever you want to do. So this is your podcast. You close us out.
Well, it was really good. I felt like you were absolutely right. I thought of all these memories as we were talking. And yeah, it was really good to catch up. I think that here I want to listen to your podcast next now because I'm like, but
I'll warn you, it's very foul at
oh,
times.
that's okay.
So don't
Oh,
have your kids around.
well, I was just about to say, don't have your kids around for my last song because there's some F bombs in there. It's just right in the beginning. This song really, like, it always pumped me and my friend up at the gym when we would do things. So like she reminded me, I'm like, I need a good song. And she's like, remember the song? You like love it. And so there's a couple followers, but I'll listen to it and I won't listen to it around the kids. That's good. But it was really good seeing your face, even though I saw it like a couple weeks ago, but it was good to talk. And I would have like loved to, like, I know I'm gonna listen to your podcast, like catch up with you, see how you're doing. Love to like see your wife on here, like wave to her or something. But guys, it's been real. If I didn't give any shout outs, I don't remember you. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. All right, that's it.
Awesome.